Oh, I just got it. It's definitely bugged. We just got Interstellar. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. I'm TCaptainX. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to efficiently and quickly unlock and max level up your guns in MW3, along with a lot of different tips and advice on how to make unlocking Interstellar Mastery Camo much easier to do. So if you are new and unfamiliar with how the camo challenge unlock system works in MW3, let me explain that quickly. And if you understand this already, feel free to skip ahead in the timestamps. So every gun has 4 base camo challenges attached with it that you unlock as you level up the gun. We're looking at the MCW here. So at level 2, you unlock the first challenge, which the first challenge with every gun is just get X amount of kills with it. I think it's 50 for almost every gun. Then at level 12, you unlock the second challenge. At level 19, the third. And when you max level that gun, you get the 4th and final challenge. And this is a little bit different because not every gun's max level is 28. Some are only like 15 and some are as high as like 33, I think is the highest. Once you've completed all 4 base challenges, you then unlock the ability to start working on gilded or gold. Once you have gilded on every gun in that category, so for example, once you have gilded on every assault rifle, you then can start working on the forged challenges for assault rifles. Now, one thing I want to point out, currently there are 6 assault rifles in the game, but within a few weeks to a few months, there's going to be more guns added. So if you're doing this in the future, you only have to get gilded on 6 assault rifles, basically the number of guns that the game started with. You don't have to do all of them since they're going to add more. Once you have forged on 36 guns, because 36 is the number of guns available when the game released, you then will unlock Priceless. You then complete Priceless on 36 of those guns, and you then unlock Interstellar. Now, there is not an individual Interstellar challenge for each gun. Once you have 36 Priceless, you get Interstellar on all 36 of those guns. But if there are new guns added that you didn't level up and complete, you will need to complete those challenges to use Interstellar on those new guns. So now let me focus on just tips to level up your guns faster and easier. Number 1, if you are planning on completing the Interstellar camo, I recommend you complete these base challenges as you go and level up the gun. That way you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It's completely up to you whether or not you want to just get every gun max level first and then go back and do all the challenges, or if you want to kind of focus on going straight into gilded and forged for that. Me personally, I kind of jumped around a lot as I go, and I use different guns based on the maps I was playing, which we'll talk about here more in a second. So I'm going to give you guys 5 different methods which I believe to be the fastest and easiest ways to level up your guns in MW3. Number 1, if there is a 24/7 playlist like a Rust 24/7 or Rust Mint 24/7, which is Rust and Shipment combined, I highly recommend you stick with those. Basically any of these small maps like Rust or Shipment, or even like a Scrapyard if they made one, because those smaller maps just lead to more kills and more score per minute. The only thing I want to add with that is that when you're playing those games, if it's an objective mode like a hardpoint or domination or kill confirmed, make sure you're trying to actually play the objective, because you get a lot of XP when playing the objective. For example, hardpoint is one of the best modes for leveling because of the amount of extra XP you can earn. If you're getting kills on the hardpoint or while defending the hardpoint, or you're actually capturing the hardpoint, you get a ton of extra XP that goes towards leveling up your gun. Now, my second best method for me myself was war mode, but this one can be difficult at times. Sometimes when you get in these lobbies, they are insanely sweaty and you're going up against a full 6-stack team, and it's very hard. But if you get a decent lobby, you can get over 100 kills in this game. And again, you want to try to play the objective, especially in the second part when you are escorting and defending against the tank, because if you're escorting the tank and you're in that bubble around it getting kills, you get about double the XP for those kills. And same if you're getting kills against people on the tank, you get about double the XP. So really focus to do that during those parts. However, I will say I definitely preferred to only really do assault rifles, battle rifles, and maybe LMGs in this mode. I didn't like using SMGs, shotguns, or snipers in this mode personally, and that's why for number 3, my other method is going to be just doing quick play, but we're going to filter it in a particular way. So if you go to the filter part, what I personally like to do was just kill confirmed and hardpoint when it comes to weapon XP part. When it comes to camo challenges, you definitely can add team deathmatch and free for all, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. So just for leveling, kill kill confirmed in hardpoint. And again, make sure you're playing the objective. Now, the only thing I'll add to this is that based on the map, it would be determined what gun I would use. So bigger maps like Estate or Wasteland, I always was using snipers or marksman rifles. But smaller maps like Scrapyard or Rust is when I use shotguns and SMGs. And then any other map, I used any other type of gun. Now, the same applies with hardcore quick play, and I did the same thing with that. I would normally just do kill confirmed in hardpoint, or if you have the ability, you could do like a Rust 24/7 if it's in there. But I used hardcore specifically for guns that I felt like were just bad compared to the rest, and also pistols. Pistols are super easy to use and level up in hardcore modes because they're basically all one shots. Now, my number 4 method is going to be specifically for snipers and maybe marksman rifles, is actually invasion. Invasion is like ground war or a giant large scale team deathmatch, but there are bots or AI that spawn in this, and they are super easy to kill out of the air, especially with a sniper. So if you're struggling with a sniper, or you just want to get leveled up a little bit before you start working on the challenges, you could definitely do invasion, but keep in mind, killing the bots do not count towards your camo challenges. This is only good for leveling guns. And then my final method, or number 5, and this is something that I did not do personally, but I know from other people it is still very good, is going to be zombies. Now, they have nerfed several kind of ways of leveling up your guns, but some of the contracts like Outlast and then the Spore contracts can be very, very good to farm zombies in, and you can get a lot of XP to level up your gun in this mode. But also keep in mind, these camo challenges are not going to track for multiplayer, as zombies has its own separate challenges. But if you plan on also going for the Borealis zombies camo challenge, this would not be a bad method to level your guns in zombies and then come back to multiplayer to work on Interstellar. All right, so now let's get into some specific tips for specific challenges. So let's first start with assault rifles here. The AR ones are pretty easy. Now, the tac stance ones, the only thing I will say about this is just make sure you're building your gun for good tac stance. A really easy way to do this, and this works for building guns in general, is select your attachments here, go to the show details where it shows you the more specific stuff. And for tac stance, we're going to look at this tac stance spread right here. As I hover between these, we're going to see that this barrel right here gives us a much tighter tac stance spread. So we're obviously going to use a barrel like that for this challenge, and then just go through the rest of your attachments like lasers and underbarrels really help a lot with this, and just build a gun for max tac stance spread. Now, the gilded challenge for all ARs is get 3 kills within the same magazine. This is much easier to do in hardcore, and then obviously make sure you're putting on the biggest magazine as possible to do this. Another tip, and this applies for multiple different guns, is currently in the game, if it ever says get 3 kills without dying 10 times or get 5 kills without dying 10 times, these ones are very buggy and they're not tracking consistently all the time, especially the priceless ones, which are get 5 kills. They're favoring you. So a lot of the times you only have to get like a 3 kill streak for it to count, or sometimes your deaths aren't counting towards it and they like cycle over. So just keep that in mind. But I would also say playing hardcore and just kind of camping will make these challenges easier to do. For SMGs, by far the hardest and most annoying challenge is to get 15 kills while operators are affected by your tactical. So number 1, you need to set up your class right. Make sure we're using the engineer vest because that gives us 2 tacticals. I highly recommend stun grenades. And then for your perks, use something like ghost and also covert sneakers. That way you can kind of sneak around the map and kind of sit in areas and just throw a stun out and then go kill them. Now, the other thing I'll say about this is make sure don't run around like a madman. Try to sit kind of behind cover, find someone coming, pop out, throw that stun, get behind cover. As soon as that stun hits, then jump out and kill them. Also, I will say that both free-for-all and team deathmatch are probably best for this one specifically, especially free-for-all because there's a lot more kind of 1v1 fights and you can kind of just camp and watch people run by, stun them, and get the kill. Most of the sniper ones are pretty self-explanatory. One small tip where it says get 3 kills with 1 magazine is once you get your 3 kills with that mag, make sure you reload. You have to put a fresh mag in for it to start counting towards the next one. Also, another one that is a little bit confusing and was kind of buggy for some people was the forged one, which is get 25 kills while ADS and fully loaded. The fully loaded thing was tripping up a lot of people. Basically what that means is you need to, when you shoot the gun and get your kill, it needs to come from a fully loaded magazine. So if you're running a 10 round mag, it needs to have all 10 rounds in the magazine when you first fire that bullet. For some people, they were saying this is bugging you or this is like not tracking. So for some tips I heard for this one, number 1, run the default magazine. So don't run a 10 round. And then number 2, when you're going in your class, run the gunner vest because you deploy with max ammo. And if it's being super buggy, make sure you're getting it on the first kill of your life and you haven't shot the gun at all, because the gunner vest, you're going to have max ammo and your magazine is fully loaded. So that is like truly fully loaded. But personally, I just ran the infantry vest and it worked fine for me. The hardest challenge by far for LMGs are the penetration kills challenge. And I'm going to jump in here and show you guys a few spots of where to do this. But when building your gun, make sure we're using the ammo that does bullet penetration. So for example, it's this one has 2 up arrows for bullet penetration. So you're going to want to make sure you use that. This is also a lot easier to do in hardcore because even when you're shooting through walls, it's only like 1 to 2 bullets to kill people instead of having to shoot them multiple times. All right, so one of the best maps for penetration kills is actually high rise, and it's going to be in this spot right here because you can actually wall bang through any of these fences. So if you come up on the stairwell, you can kind of sit right here and just shoot through really any of these, but these work as well too, although I've just found this is by far the best spot. All right, so the next map we're on now is Skid Row here. You can wall bang through this door, especially off spawn if you start over here, but probably the best place, and this works generally best in hardcore, is actually you go back here and you're gonna shoot down this alleyway. You do it from back here. So basically, you can just kind of like look at the mini map in the top left and kind of line yourself up and make sure you're shooting straight. And just literally, you can just spray here with an LMG. And if you're in hardcore, you can pick up a decent amount of kills there. So actually, the map where I probably got the most penetration kills was Terminal. And there's 2 main spots with the LMG, but there's also some other spots I want to show you when it comes to the sniper for the Cat AMR challenge that you have to do. Right here is a really good spot. I would just sit back here, and as someone would come through, I would prone and try to shoot. You can also, of course, try to live ping them, but kind of doing this and just crouching and shooting through as they came through was very effective. The other spot is going to be on the plane. So if people are coming out like through this window or through this door out here, you can kind of line them up and then strafe over through here and shoot them through the wall. The other place where I got a ton was if they were coming from here to here onto the plane is if you sit behind the chairs. I would sit here. As soon as they come on, I would crouch and shoot through the wall here. And you can do this with both LMGs and snipers, but for snipers specifically, one thing that I found was super easy is you can wallbang through glass. As long as you get the kill through the glass in a one shot, it will count as a wallbang. So obviously all of these count. You can go to the front of plane and do it, but then also the windows over here, you can be on either side and shoot in or out of those. You can also do it up there on top. So yeah, any of these windows count, and just Terminal seems to be the best place to do that, especially for that Cat AMR challenge. So moving on to battle rifles. Battle rifle ones were really easy. One thing to point out is if it ever says get kills with a magnification scope, that can be any optic, even a 1x optic. So like your MK.3 or any standard red dot optic does count towards that. Now, if you see any challenges that say get multi kills, this will probably get patched soon, but you can actually complete only these multi kills and I think also double kills in a private match. So you can boot up a private match, add bots and just free for all or team deathmatch, and then do it there. It is crazy, but it does count, but it only is multi kills and double kills working currently. For challenges that say suppressed clean kills, so suppressed obviously means using a suppressor. A clean kill just means getting a kill without taking damage from the enemy. You can definitely do this in core, but it's even easier to do in hardcore if you want to switch over for that. One thing to note for marksman rifles is the third challenge for all of them is get kills with no attachment. So just keep that in mind to run a game without them, and you can usually complete it pretty easily, especially if you want to switch over to hardcore again, since the gun's not as good without attachments. And then whenever you see a challenge that says get one-shot kills, if a lot of the marksman rifles are one-shot headshots, but again, you can do this way easier if you switch over to hardcore. So moving on to secondary. So when it comes to the knife, what I'd really recommend for this is just as you're doing different objective-based modes like hardpoint, domination, whenever you're getting captures and you know you're about to get XP for just like an objective, switch to your secondary, whatever that might be. So it could be knives, pistols, the grenade launcher, and try to level them up just as you go when you're doing those easy objective-based XP. For getting the 50 kills, this is pretty easy to do after a few games on Rust or Shipment or any other really small map by just running around. You can add stuns if you want to. You're going to die a lot. Your KD's going to suck, but that's kind of just what you have to do. So the Gilded challenge is to get kills while they're affected by your tactical. Again, treat this the exact same way as that SMG challenge. Run engineer. You can do free for all if you want, and just, you got to run around and you just got to stun people. Now this Forge challenge, it sucks. However, it is bugged. Get 5 kills without dying 5 times. Currently, it does not track at all, and you literally just have to get 25 kills. That's it. So good luck if they fix this by the time you're doing this. I'm sorry. All right, the revenge kills for the gutter knife is kind of a pain in the butt. This will take you a few games, but here's what I recommend. Do this in a small map like Rust or Shipment. And basically, you're just gonna have to run around, try to focus on just doing this, because eventually skill-based matchmaking should kick in. You should get a little bit easier lobbies. And just when you die to someone, you have to kill that person next with the knife to get a revenge kill. So let's say I die to Cup of Joe. That next life, I'm gonna try to hunt him down and get a kill. But if I die to somebody else in the meantime, then I'm gonna go find that next person. That is what revenge kills are. All right, so the grenade launcher camo challenge just straight up sucks. So what I recommend is do this one early, get it leveled up, get gold on it pretty early on. The direct hits aren't too bad. You just gotta basically barrel stuff and shoot it right at them. Then the Forge challenge is what absolutely sucks. So you have to destroy 25 enemy equipment with the RGL, but currently the only things tracking are claymores and proximity mines. So what I recommend is always have this on you as you're working on other guns. Make sure you are running the engineer vest. And then there is also another perk called the signal jammer, and the signal jammer will emit a beep whenever you're near enemy equipment. And it's just kind of an added layer so that you hear that beep and you're like, oh, I've got engineer. Now you look around, and because engineer will highlight these equipment for you, and then you're going to try to go up and blow them up. Normally this is going to come in kind of bursts for you when you find that one player that is running claymores and prox mines. And when you get in that game, you want to hyper focus on trying to find that player and take those out, because it's just that much of a pain in the butt. Now the other thing you can try doing is go into free for all and type in the game match text and say, help me with claymores on the RGL and I will help you. And you could try to trade that. That is what ended up happening to me. I actually ran into a random game, and the other team was a bunch of other streamer friends that I knew, and we helped each other. We just kept running to the same spot, putting claymores down, and we each got like 15 that game. Most of the pistol challenges are pretty easy, but again, it is so much easier to level and do these base ones, at least in hardcore. And then the last one is always akimbo. So again, pretty easy in hardcore, or you can just go on like a Shipment or a Rust to do any of these. So that is going to wrap things up, guys. If you like the video, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to know my full settings and guide video to getting better at MW3, check out this video right over here.